Kenyans of every group, every race, every creed have embarked on a journey to a promising future with unshakable determination and faith in God.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this special edition of our program, where we delve into the heart of Kenya's financial landscape. Today we turn our attention to the much-debated Finance Bill 2023, a piece of legislation that has been making waves in the corridors of power. And in this exclusive explainer, we will unravel the key highlights and contentious issues surrounding this bill. Join us as we navigate through the intricacies of taxation, revenue generation, and budgetary allocations that will shape the nation's financial future. Stay tuned for an insightful analysis and expert opinions on the implications of this bill for both the government and the citizens. This is your comprehensive guide to the Finance Bill, right here, right now. In the House, we have Wakili Emmanuel Baraka to help us get started. Maybe you explain briefly to us, what is the Finance Bill about?
Well, before we look at the intricacies, the details of the bill, we have to establish why we have the bill in the first place. This bill has been championed by the President, Dr. Ruto, and this is essentially because of the budget deficit, the significant budget deficit that exists in our country at the moment. And more specifically, we are looking at a situation where we are looking at a country that is burdened with excessive debt, in that unsustainable debt in a way. And this bill is supposed to raise revenue to cover that, and also to ensure that President Dr. Ruto manages to be able to achieve the development agenda that he is very keen about, specifically the housing agenda.
So, who is fronting the bill?
In that this bill is a bill that is being fronted primarily, and this is my opinion, and I believe it's something which is factual by the President, Dr. William Ruto, and his government. And we find that he made promises when he came into office. And in addition to that, he inherited a government. I believe he was also part of the regime which... the whole government that had taxes which are burdensome. And let's quickly listen to what he had to say when he first proposed the housing levy to Kenyans.
If you are paying a mortgage, nothing stops you as somebody who is employed. Yeah? Number one, contributing to this fund. Because it is not a tax. It is your money. What you are doing, you are playing your patriotic duty. Because out there, we have millions of young people who get out of school every year. It is our responsibility, me and you. Why is it our responsibility? Because they are the taxpayers that end up paying our salaries. Right? And it is our duty also to see how we can help them in a small way. And you have said correctly that their problem is employment. Precisely. That's why I'm saying these 5 million characters, our children, getting out of school. Don't you think it is a decent thing? Don't you think it is the right thing to participate in an exercise that helps our country, our young people, instead of engaging in crime, in abuse of drugs, to be part. And I want to ask my countrymen and women, those of us who are employed, please, let us not hold in contempt those who don't have jobs.
On 28th April 2023, the Kenyan Treasury Cabinet Secretary presented the Finance Bill to Parliament. Fast forward to June 22nd, the bill was approved and it is waiting for the president to assent. I believe that certainly that the president is going to assent, because most of the provision, or some of the provisions that, including the levy on fuel, is supposed to kick in on 1st July, which is not very far from today. And therefore, the president has to assent so that the changes can take effect in the coming calendar year. The calendar year for government proceedings and budgeting starts in July and not in January like the usual calendar year.
Tell us, in a nutshell, what are the provisions of the finance bill?
The increased tax
on fuel is one of the most notable things for Kenyan households. This is going to be affecting significantly everyone, not even significantly, greatly affecting many of us. And let's quickly look at the other taxation measures that are going to compound matters. And these are the 16% value added tax on insurance competition, the excise duty on mobile and internet data and mobile money transfers. There is a duty on wigs, there's a duty on betting and alcohol product, and the advertisement. So that's something to look out for. If you didn't know any of these taxes, they are going to be affecting the lives of each Kenyan. There are a few exemptions which have been put forth for sugarcane transportation and flour imports.
And the exemption of liquefied petroleum gas from the existing 8% VAT, which is a huge positive, and it's something which we should not take for granted, because it's going to mean that our gas, at least in that period, is not going to go up. Probably it could stay the same amount because other things will be going up on transportation. But it's a positive which we should look out for and we should be aware of.
What does this then mean for Kenyans going into the future? What are the implications?
Some of the impact that the bill is going to be having on Kenyans and the government. And the first one, and I think the obvious one, is the high cost of living. More taxes means more expensive stuff, especially on fuel. The insurance deductions. As somebody who is in the legal profession, this is something which is going to be impacting clients. So you're going to be getting less than you usually would. And then there is more expensive calls and data bundles. Right now, I'm using my phone to make this recording and to shoot this, and that means that my data bundles, I'm going to be having to pay a little extra, and also to send money. Something else to note is that many businesses are going to be affected, especially the smaller businesses that don't have huge financial masses. And lastly, and this is something which has not been talked about, that is expensive foodstuff because of increased in fertilizer. So it's going to be a situation where in the future, going into the next year, still foodstuffs are going to be expensive. I think we it's difficult to know who is going to bear the consequences for the difficulties. I think, is it going to be a blame game of the old government? And let's listen to what Raila Amolo Odinga had to say about the government's push for the Finance Bill 2023 and its effects on citizens.
I find it curious that while not everyone is qualified for the proposed affordable housing regime, everyone is expected to pay. This is illegal borrowing. According to the bill, those who do not qualify for affordable houses will have their monies refunded or transferred to the beneficiaries after 7 years. There's no mention of interest accrued on the money. The tsunami of taxes in that bill will bury everyone, especially the jobless youth and the poor struggling down at the bottom. In the event that Kenya Kwanza uses its hired majority and passes the bill as it is, we want the people of Kenya to understand that it is Kenya Kwanza's bill. It is the Kenya Kwanza's budget. It will be a Kenya Kwanza strangling Kenyans.
It's easy for one to take polarizing views and say that it's Uhuru's fault, or it's President Ruto's fault, or Uhuru and Ruto's fault in the Uhuru-Ruto regime. But there is also the tax, the debt burden to look at, and it's something which is serious and shouldn't be overlooked.
Lately, there has been a shadowed conversation on odious debt and debt defaulting fronted by Senator Okiya Omtata and former presidential aspirant Jimmy Wanjigi. The former is quoted saying, and I quote, "Why should the sovereign pay for a debt they did not incur? What really happened to us? We need to ask ourselves, if the money we borrowed went to someone's pockets, can we auction that person?" What are your thoughts on this matter?
According to the Parliament of Kenya, as of April 29th, 2023, we find that Kenya has a public debt of 9.4 trillion. This is just shy of the 10 trillion limit, which we are going to be hitting quite quickly, because President Ruto has already borrowed over 290 billion, so that's very close to the 10 trillion limit. Currently, we find that the government is going to be bringing those taxes to and imposing the newer ones, and increasing old ones also, to generate revenue so that they can be able to facilitate projects and cover the debts. But if they were not they were not trying to cover the debt deficit that is there, the huge debt, then it will free up space. And this is a suggestion that Jimmy is giving, that we just ignore the loans because they are odious. They were not legally acquired. I believe that it's quite simple. If Uhuru or anybody took a loan in our forged name, the Kenyan name, forged documents and forged signature, it shouldn't be considered our debt. It's something which has been acquired illegally through forgery or through misrepresentation. Should not be something which will be burdened on Kenyans. It should not be something which should be shared by all. It should be shared by those who took it, because the laws are very clear that debts have to be taken using certain procedures and have to be utilized for certain things.
This is definitely going to be affecting the livelihoods of many people, especially considering the times are difficult already. And for the legal profession, it's going to be meaning adapting to the new laws and changes to the tax and non-tax related statutes. So it's adaptation that is going to be happening all around for Kenyans, in different professions, and it's something to be conscious about.
Thank you, Wakili, for sharing your valuable insights with us on the program tonight. We invite our viewers to post their questions and comments in the comments section below, and Wakili will be happy to respond and engage with you.
Ukitaka mayai safi, lazima utafuta njia ya kuona na mayai mazuri, tia ndani ya maji. Yale ambayo haina uzito mbaya yatatoka juu.
Don't forget to like, comment and share. Don't forget to like, comment and share.